Angeles. I am coming to you from Fox 11 Studios in West LA. I'm Marla Tejas, and we thank you so much for hopping on. What we're talking about to begin our hour and a half of streaming today is World Cup pricing. Are you upset by this? So the World Cup kicks off in just 2 months, but as excitement is growing, so is some anger and some frustration. Soccer fans are a bit outraged over ticket prices for the matches. A European fan group has filed a formal complaint alleging price gouging and also unfair conditions. This is ahead of the tournament. Now, just to give you an example, here's an example of pricing for a Category 1 ticket. This is considered the top tier viewing option located close to the field. So from September of last year until December, that ticket cost $6,370 on FIFA's ticket website. Now, for 1 month, from December until January of this year, that ticket was bumped up and it cost $8,700. Now, in the fourth and final sales window that opened just April 1st, so 5 days ago, that ticket now costs almost $11,000, $10,990. So it has increased almost $4,000. Derek Howard has been examining FIFA ticket pricing in Europe and its impact here in the U.S. He's an attorney and sports law professor at the University of San Francisco. And the professor, Howard, joins me now live. I trust you are coming to us from San Francisco.
I am.
Okay.
And thanks for inviting me.
Yes, thanks for being here. So let me just first outright just get your reaction, because to me this seems like, is this not simple demand for the tickets?
Well, it is a little bit.
That's what
it is a little
for.
bit more It is a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
I think the first thing is, let's just talk about what it means on the street. I think that people are more than upset. I think that it is actually the main news story about this World Cup, when instead it should be about the excitement of the World Cup being in the United States for the first time since 1994. And the modern game is something that's very attractive to people around the world. And people are very, very upset, particularly because the culture around the World Cup is one of affordability for everyone. Now, the legal part of it is, the question is whether or not these sky-high prices are legal. And I would make the argument to you that they are not, and that's why the lawsuit was filed in Europe.
Okay, why are they not legal?
Okay, 2 reasons. First off, FIFA has a monopoly position. They're the only ones that can set the sale price. They have not made it a transparent process, and they have not explained the basis for the pricing that is through the roof. Under the law, and particularly under California law, this goes into the world of antitrust and unfair competition, just like the Europeans allege. And the question is whether or not something can be done in time to bring the prices down to a reasonable level. FIFA is suspected of using algorithmic pricing, which is different than the normal pricing that we see here in the United States. So, for example, when the Dodgers have 81 games at home a year, they can set different prices for teams that are attractive and not so attractive, and they'll be up and down within reason. And the consumers have sufficient information to make a informed decision as to whether or not they should pay the amount being asked. This is single event pricing, and it's being called the equivalent of 100 Super Bowls in a row. The pricing makes the Taylor Swift demand look like milk and cookies.
Interesting. So you're referring to the algorithmic pricing, and is that essentially the same thing as dynamic pricing, because that's what FIFA calls it? And
no,
and FIFA also says that this is just simply because of the great demand, which you say that's just not the case.
Well, that is not the case, and if it were the case, then FIFA would be transparent about the reasons for why they're setting the prices so high. As your graph illustrated, the prices continue to go up, not just based on demand, but based on daily changes in the market that only FIFA knows about. In the dynamic pricing, which we're used to in American sports, and particularly with season tickets, for example, the consumers are informed and can make an informed decision. FIFA is also using scare tactics, being in a monopoly position, and telling people that if they don't buy tickets on the FIFA primary selling market, they will not have the opportunity to attend a once in a lifetime event.
So to be clear, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the other reason that fans are so upset is because this is the first window of opportunity that they've had that they can, this is a first come, first served basis, right? Because up until now, they've been phased out, the tickets have been phased out into a lottery system essentially. So if you weren't a part of that lottery system, you waited until April 1st and you thought, okay, I can hop on to the FIFA's website right now and get a pair of tickets, knowing you're going to pay a pretty penny, but not expecting it to be this pretty of a penny, if you will.
Correct. That's absolutely correct.
Okay. Good. So now that this complaint has been filed, now what? Because time is of the essence. We're already April 6th right now. The World Cup begins June 11th. Let me just run this through. So it will be played in 16 cities across North America, 78 of the 104 matches in 11 cities in the U.S. The final is July 19th at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. So the complaint's filed. How long does this, because a complaint isn't necessarily, or let me just ask you that. What does a complaint do?
Well, there's a complaint in Europe and there's a complaint in the United States. The Europeans and their view of competition and economic activity around sporting events is much more consumer friendly. So we can expect that the lawsuit that was filed in Europe will be resolved on an expedited basis. In the United States, I see three alternatives to bringing the pricing down on this very fast ticking clock. The first one is that the Attorney General of California or other states is free to go to court and to do something about this. And I would urge the state attorney generals who have the power of state law behind them to go to court and to get some kind of injunction to bring the prices down. The second thing is that the president is very friendly and on first name basis with the head of FIFA, Mr. Infantini. And while the president is busy, he can also pick up the phone and ask FIFA to bring the prices down. The third thing would be a private lawsuit brought by consumers like the one in Europe and ask for an expedited hearing and decision on whether or not the pricing is fair.
So no steps have been taken then here in the United States?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But I would be surprised if someone doesn't do something soon.
Okay, so we'll see if our Attorney General Rob Bonta does anything. And then the other thing is, will President Trump pick up the phone, as you said? And then the last option would be, remind me?
The last option would be for some kind of private case like the one in Europe.
Oh, right.
Brought by soccer fans alleging antitrust and unfair competition and asking for an injunction to stop the tickets from being sold at high prices and refunds for the people that paid an exorbitant price.
Well, we'll have to see what comes of it. Are you surprised at all that this has gotten to where it is today? I mean, when you saw the $10,990 that is now being asked, what was your just outright reaction?
My reaction is that the FIFA management sees the World Cup in the United States as an opportunity to make untold revenues in the billions of dollars. The game is being marketed to the hate to use the expression, to the 1%. Notably, the games in Mexico and Canada have not been priced so exorbitantly, which I think is a sign right there. But FIFA is a world unto itself. And until somebody takes them on and says you can't do that in a court of law, FIFA will continue undeterred.
If a FIFA fan is watching right now and they had plans to purchase some tickets, but now they say, no, I'm not going to because I just can't afford it, what is your advice to them? In other words, should they wait it out to see if, in fact, the prices drop, or should they throw this on a credit card?
My analysis of the European suit is that if the soccer fans in Europe are successful, that will have an effect of bringing down all the ticket prices for all the World Cup games, including, for tickets for Americans.
So there could be
otherwise, I think the demand.
There could be a world, sorry to just jump in here, but there could be a world in which the European case plays out and that nothing necessarily has to be done here because that will have the ripple effect of lowering the prices here.
That is one scenario.
Okay. All right.
The second thing that I just wanted to mention was that FIFA is correct that the demand is through the roof. That doesn't mean you get to charge whatever you want, particularly when you're in a monopoly position, which FIFA is. I would suggest to people that the ticket prices, unless there's some intervention, will continue to go up. So I am not going to urge people to wait and see because I think that's not a winning strategy. Okay.
All right. Let me just talk to my producer here, we're going to take a break and then continue the conversation?
Sure.
Do you have just a couple minutes me after the break here on the stream?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
A couple more questions coming your way to the professor, who's kind enough to stop what he's doing in San Francisco and join us from USF. The conversation regarding these outrageous FIFA World Cup pricing for the tickets will continue in just 2 minutes here on the Fox Local Stream. Stay with us. It is exactly 3:15 on the West Coast. Thanks so much for hopping on the Fox Local Stream. I'm Marla Tejas in the Fox 11 studios in West Los Angeles. We're talking about those sky-high ticket prices for FIFA World Cup. And when I talk about how high they are, almost $11,000. So you see this FIFA dynamic ticket pricing graphic here. The peak pricing now is up to that 10,990 number. And just last September, that same ticket was 6,370. So now there is a complaint, a lawsuit that has been filed in Europe to stop this. Fans are outraged and outpriced and can't afford to attend a match, which, by the way, the World Cup begins June 11th. Derek Howard has been examining FIFA ticket pricing in Europe and its impact right here in the U.S. He's an attorney and sports law professor at the University of San Francisco, and Professor Howard is back with us on the stream. I'm curious, is this something that you're talking about in the classroom? I bet it is.
Absolutely. And there are also, just putting aside the legal issue, there are a lot of pieces that go with the overpricing by an entity in a monopoly position. And that is the economic effect of people not being able to attend the games. The cancellation of hotel rooms and travel arrangements, the uptick in things like parking, train prices, and just generally the negative story that is surrounding this World Cup. It's bad for the country. It reflects very poorly on us that we can only put on a World Cup where only the wealthy get to attend. And as part of basic competition in the sporting world, the one thing you don't want to do is to alienate your fan base. And that's exactly what's happened here.
Yeah, and let's not forget that soccer, football, is the #1 sport in the globe.
Yes. I mean, literally billions of people are going to be watching this event. It has expanded the field and invited more teams from more countries. The interest is at a maximum. And it is somewhat mind-boggling that somewhere inside FIFA, they've made a decision to go for maximum revenue instead of maximum goodwill and putting on an event that traditionally is for the average football fan, the average soccer fan.
Yeah, I mean,
so yes, it's surprising.
Yeah, with a price of $11,000 for a single ticket. To your point, this is for the 1% only, and FIFA says this is a significant demand issue. If that were the case, though, Professor, wouldn't these tickets already be sold out?
Well, it's not only, the answer is yes, but it's not only that. I think an important point here is that FIFA is not being transparent about the reason why the tickets are priced as such. They're making it actually very difficult in their online lotteries. In the last ticket release, for example, I personally waited online for over 6 hours and was unable to even get into the room where I could look at some ticket prices. So if FIFA, again, in a monopoly position, says it's strictly a question of demand, then show us the facts.
Great point. Now, so you are trying to get tickets then, huh?
I'd like to, but I'm not sure my family would be happy about me spending a couple thousand a ticket. We're all soccer fans. I've been a coach in the game for over 3 decades.
Oh, wow.
And this topic is the #1 topic in the soccer community in the United States. And that's unfortunate because we should be focusing, for example, on our team and their chances or who's going to win the cup. And instead, everybody's already very annoyed before the tournament's even begun.
So because we had explained that this $11,000 ticket that's for a very nice seat. So right. There are other tickets for sale then that are less than 11,000, but still in the thousands, right?
Yes. So for example, at least currently as of yesterday, if you wanted to sit in the top row for the final, way up in the third deck,
So in other words, like
and
the nosebleeds.
yes, the nosebleeds, that would be about 1,500. And the other thing is that another tradition in the World Cup is that fans of a certain team or country, there's a lot of people in this country that take pride in their heritage. If you're Scottish or English or Colombian, Mexican, whatever,
Right.
you can't follow your team.
Yeah.
It's been designed in a way to stop you from going to multiple matches.
And I'm so sorry. Can you repeat what the nosebleed price is?
1,500.
1,500. So 1,500 would be the cheapest. So to your point, you're not sure if your family of four, I'll just say.
Four, yeah.
Yeah, family of four wants you to pay $6,000 for one match.
Maybe if I get another job.
Yeah, well, you already have a pretty good job. And by the way, so you don't know this. I know you've. I'll just say it. I'm from San Francisco. I was born in San Francisco. I was born at UC Hospital. So it's just I'm showing my roots here, and then I'm laughing because you are a professor at USF. Obviously, you're not from San Francisco though, because I see an Eagles pennant behind you.
The green blood, it's going to be there forever.
Yeah. So
I grew up an Eagles fan.
Does that mean that you grew up in Philadelphia?
It does.
Okay. Hey, I understand it because I'm
very observant.
It's my job, right? I'm inspecting the background while you're talking. I see the Eagles, and hey, I understand. I'm a 49ers fan, so and I'm in
That's
Rams,
my backup team.
Rams country and Chargers country. So well, I appreciate you in enlightening us regarding the FIFA World Cup ticket pricing. I'm really curious to see how this plays out in Europe and if anything's done here in the U.S. or if we're just going to wait it out and see if that will have the trickle-down effect. Remind me of how soon we can expect some legal outcome in Europe. Well,
FIFA, as is their habit, has no comment to the lawsuit at all. It's hard to say how fast things are going to move in Europe, but I would expect that something will happen this month or early next month. And I'm hoping that someone here in the United States will see the merit of the European action, and instead of waiting around for Europe to do something, to initiate some kind of legal action in what is, in my view, both an antitrust and unfair competition violation.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. In the meantime, as mentioned, I'm really grateful that you could hop on. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And if something happens, we'll let you know.
Yes, please. We'll be watching it too, and we can have you back. And I just want to make sure people know you are an attorney and sports law professor at the University of San Francisco. He is Derek Howard. Professor Howard, thanks so much again.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, have a good one.
All right, you too.
Well, staying with soccer now, we're talking LA Galaxy. It's building the next generation of soccer stars. And for one teenager, the dream is already in motion. Our Sandra Endo has the inside look at the LA Galaxy Academy.
Hi, my name is Max Steelman. I play for the LA Galaxy Academy. I'm a right winger, 17 years old, and I'm a future pro.
A dynamic standout on the pitch, playing soccer since he was 4 years old. Max Steelman left his family in San Diego 3 years ago to pursue his dreams.
It's hard to believe, but I've always had the dream to become a professional soccer player, and I think, being here, it's the right environment to do so, and this is where I need to be if I want to chase my goals.
His talent and tenacity led him to secure a coveted spot with the LA Galaxy Academy at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson. This is where the top Major League Soccer team is breeding the next generation of professionals, starting from 12 years old.
The training environment, it's unbelievable. Every player here is so top, and everyone's striving for the same thing. And so when you have that, the environment becomes very special.
Elite coaching, schooling, chef-created meals, all provided by the club. Players train their minds and bodies throughout the entire day. It's a year-to-year commitment, a competitive environment where players can get cut and new players are always vying for a spot.
Well, we try to provide everything for them to excel on and off the field. World-class pitches, facilities, athletic training, all the equipment to help them hopefully one day play in the World Cup, right? The biggest benefit is that we have our student athletes here all day, right? So instead of just traditionally going to school and then coming to train in the afternoons, rushing from school to practice to eating fast food, our players come here for training, for school, for after work, for special things that they can do in the gym, whether it's cognitive performance, whether it's learning small life skills. We teach them all that, so they're a more rounded individual.
It's a rigorous routine, studying film, hitting the gym, training, and then 3 hours of school. You're 17 years old. Don't you want to play, I don't know, Fortnite, go to prom, do all the things that 17-year-olds are doing? Do you feel like you're missing out?
You have to sacrifice a lot. I've done a really good job of balancing the life. I think that's one thing that this place has also really taught me. There has to be some sort of balance or else you'll crash. But you have to make so many sacrifices. Like, I don't see my family a lot. It's really hard on me, but you got to push through.
The stakes couldn't be higher for players at this age.
Being consistent day in, day out, they really push you here. And I'd also say having to perform with a ton of pressure because, you're representing the Galaxy, which is the biggest club in the MLS.
LA Galaxy Academy coach Jean-Pierre Mujica says while the pressure to perform is intense, at this level at the LA Galaxy Academy, the holistic approach is their priority.
We talk about the person first, then the player, right? So we want to make sure our players develop through the academy with good values and they just become good men. And the objective of the academy is to develop players for our first team, right? But at the end of the day, we understand that not everybody will be a professional player, but everybody will be a father or a doctor.
What sets those people apart?
Work ethic and character. That's some of the things that we talk about is you can be very talented, but at the end of the day, what's going to separate you from the rest is your character. So that's the biggest one for me.
Building character and building the next generation of World Cup and world-class athletes. Sandra Endo, Fox 11 News.
So inspiring. Thank you to Sandra for that report. Sandra, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just 2 minutes on the Fox Local stream. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fox Local Stream. I'm Marla Tejas, 3:30 here in West Los Angeles. Thank you so much for being with us. A couple of local stories that we're following here at Fox 11. A fire breaking out at a hospital in Montebello earlier today that forced patients to be evacuated. Sky Fox was over the Adventist Health White Memorial on Beverly Boulevard. This was earlier today. Crews say the fire started in the staff break room. They say it was quickly put out, but heavy smoke led to patients being moved to other hospitals. Thankfully, no one was hurt. What an inconvenience. A bizarre story now out of Long Beach, where human remains were discovered during an Easter egg hunt. Our Haley Winslow joins us now live from Long Beach with those details. Well, that didn't go quite as planned, the Easter egg hunt yesterday.
I know, definitely not. This was quite a discovery, pretty disturbing and dramatic. What turned into a big crime scene here. It started out as just families celebrating the Easter holiday, having a little Easter egg hunt, and one of the families, according to investigators, while they were looking for plastic eggs, instead found a skull. You can see right here all of the eggshells basically that are still here, those plastic eggs, of course, and confetti, evidence left behind of the holiday festivities. Right here, Marla, on the park trail, this is DeForest Wetlands Park in Long Beach, but right here is exactly where they found the skull, basically kind of right here out in the open. And one of the families discovered it. It actually kind of looked like a rock. We had Sky Fox that came down and got video of it right away, and then of course the investigators were here, and it turned into a big crime scene. The medical examiner and a team of investigators brushing all the dirt off very carefully. You could see one of those investigators holding very carefully the mandible that kind of fell off of the skull. So they were doing a lot of paperwork. This was a huge scene overnight and into today. The park is back open now, but there's kind of a different feeling around here from the locals who come here almost every single day. It's a little bit strange. They said this is really a nice park. It was redone about 5 years ago. It used to be a forest. Several people told me that it was haunted. And about 5 years ago, they made it into these trails so that people can ride their horses back here or go dirt biking. So it seemed like a perfect place, really, for these families to have a holiday Easter egg hunt, and there's still much of that evidence left behind. So when the family discovered it, of course, they called 911. The investigators came, they closed down the park, and they basically carefully tried to uncover those remains. They looked for other remains. There was nothing else found except for that human skull. Today, about an hour ago, it was confirmed by the medical examiner's office and the Long Beach Police Department that it does belong to a human. Now, the really disturbing part is they're looking into whether it might be a child's skull. Of course, we don't have any identification yet. We don't know how long these remains were here and why they were here. That's all still being investigated by the medical examiner. But yeah, to imagine like kids on an Easter egg hunt and then finding the skull of possibly a child. I mean, definitely horrifying here in Long Beach. But people tell me, they're like, this is a really safe park for the most part. They said there's a little bit of riffraff up on the bank where the LA River runs through, and there's some homeless people there that sometimes, there's crime and stuff. But for the most part, it's a really nice, family-friendly park, and it's huge.
It looks beautiful.
It goes all the way to the Del Amo wetlands, and it's really a nice place to hang out. There's a lot of shade. There's a lot of places to exercise. But this was a rather disturbing and horrifying, I'm sure, for these kids, discovery yesterday, right around 5 p.m. on Easter Sunday.
So just the skull was found, no other human remains. It could be a child's skull. You mentioned that we don't know how long this skull had been there. Do we know how long it's going to take to be able to get any of these answers?
That's the million-dollar question. I did call the medical examiner again right before we came on here live just to see if there's any updates, but the only thing that they're able to release right now is that it was only the skull found. They don't yet know if it was a child. They don't know how long it's been here, and of course they don't know yet who it is. I did check their website too. You can put in the case number and search for it, and they don't do that until, of course, they know who it is and the next of kin has been identified. There's nothing on their website right now as far as public information goes. So we are as up to date as it's going to get. Hopefully we'll get more information, though, when we come on the news at 5 p.m. But, yeah, I mean, pretty amazing that it was just kind of out here in the open. It wasn't even behind a bush or
it wasn't
behind
buried.
a tree. It was just kind of sitting here. It looked like a rock. No, it wasn't buried at all. So makes me wonder how long it had been here, or maybe, you know, I hate to say it, but maybe an animal dragged it, but I don't know what they would, if it's been here for a while, I don't know what good it would do them. But yeah, up here, if you, I'll show you, if Gino doesn't mind, he's a trooper today, I'll show you all these Easter eggs that are left behind. There was quite a hunt, it looks like, with tons of families, and just beyond, Marla, these Easter eggs, you can see kind of over in the bushes, there's a whole bunch of trash, I think, left behind by homeless. So yeah, I was actually going back there earlier trying to see if I could find any other human remains, but yeah, they scoured the area yesterday and did, you know, pretty extensive search. So nobody, you know, nothing else has been discovered, but people kind of walking around are like, yeah, it's a little eerie, especially since this place, they said, used to be haunted.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Gino, let me just be clear, Gino Arias behind the camera, photojournalist. He's always a trooper, right, Haley? We love Gino. Thank you, Gino, for your incredible work out there.
Hopefully he hears that today, because
I'm sure he's been hiking all over the place. Let me ask you, though, who have you been able to talk to for your story? I know your report, you're working on it throughout the day, news gathering. Your report will be live.
Yeah, we'll have more at 5 p.m., but yes, we talked to the Long Beach Police Department.
Okay.
We talked to the LA County Medical Examiner's Department. I've talked to the Parks Department, although they didn't have a whole lot of information. Talked to a lot of locals. We met some maintenance guys here earlier and asked them, you know, what they knew about this. And then just people who come here like almost every day. This one guy you'll hear from, he brings his 4-year-old son here to play baseball, and he plays basketball here like every day. So it's definitely a park that's, you know, family friendly, and it's really peaceful.
Oh, so there are baseball fields and courts
butterflies.
there.
I just saw a little bunny. Yes, it's a huge park. And right before we went on, this cute little bunny rabbit just hopped right across the path, maybe still hanging out from Easter yesterday. But it's a beautiful place to hang out. And I have probably too much information, but when I first started reporting, like,
that's what the
20
stream's
years ago,
all about, Haley.
one of the first stories I ever covered, I know, right? But we were on this little island in North Carolina, and I was covering a story, and I put my hand down, and I pulled up what I put my hand on, and it was a mandible, and it was literally like the jaw from a skull, and we realized that we were actually on ancient burial grounds, which the island keepers didn't know. We found 3 bodies that day, or they did, and so it turned out to be this huge thing that, you know, I just happened to put my hand on. So when I heard about this story today, it kind of brought back some of those memories. But, you know, it's definitely not something you hear about happening every day. So when it did, it was very, very shocking for the neighbors to learn about yesterday and today, especially on Easter Sunday.
Absolutely. And what about the actual family or children who found this? Have you talked to them?
So this was not like organized by the city or anything. This was just families in the community who wanted to do kind of an impromptu Easter egg hunt with a whole bunch of different families. You can see by the trash and stuff how many people were out here, how many eggs. I'm sure they kind of ran for it when you know, police closed down the park and probably didn't get a chance to clean up. But yeah, it was just kind of an impromptu Easter egg hunt. So they were out here, you know, I can't really think of a better place to have one, and they were pretty shocked to learn about this happening here at this park that they really,
but you haven't actually talked
to adore, because it's such a nice place for kids.
You haven't talked to the people who have actually found it?
No, not yet. That would be great. If you're watching this and are one of those family, or you know who it is, please contact our newsroom. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, I can't imagine how horrifying that was for that family and for all those kids.
Oh my goodness. Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Haley, before I let you and Gino off the hook?
Just hope everybody out there had a nice Easter, and hold your loved ones close. You never know. It's you know, a good reminder, life's short, and yeah, but definitely I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come from this story.
Okay, well, you can look forward to Haley Winslow's report coming up on the Fox 11 News at 5, a little bit later on. We're just about an hour and 20 minutes away from that. All right, Haley, we thank you, and thanks, Gino.
Thank you.
All right, on to this controversy swirling around Los Angeles mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt after a published report reveals he lives in Santa Barbara County. Now, the LA Times reports Pratt and his family live in a Carpinteria rental home owned by his father since their home was destroyed in the Palisades fire. The LA City Clerk's office says candidates running for office must be registered to vote in LA County and live within the city limits in order to be eligible for election. So Pratt posted a combative message on X today in reaction.
I want to try and write a hit piece about me, about my residency, because I've had my family sheltered up in my dad's rental home in SB, and they want to attack me for not living in the Palisades while running for mayor? Hey, brain surgeon, my house burned down. You guys let my entire neighborhood burn down, remember?
Now, Pratt says his burned out Palisades lot is still his legal residence. He says he recently moved a trailer to the lot where he now plans to live. Now, Spencer Pratt was here in the Fox 11 studios just over a week ago. I had about a 26-minute interview with him in total here on the stream, and then also during the Fox 11 News at 6. And he did say that this was before any of these this report came out. He, without me asking, said that he lived on the lot of his burned out home in the Palisades, that he had an Airstream there, and that's where they had taken up residence as well. So it makes sense that you would have to move away from your property because your home burned down. And he did, in fact, say that he had the Airstream there, and then this news today. So he is quite upset about that, and you can see the entire video of his reaction on his X. And by the way, this news follows news that came out on Friday, early in the morning on Friday. A new poll shows 40% of likely LA voters are still undecided. This is just 2 months before the primary. The primary is June 2nd. Bass, the incumbent, Karen Bass, of the mayor of LA, she leads, as you can see, with 25% support. But Pratt, he's number 2. He surpassed Nithya Raman, so he has 11%, and that's followed closely by Councilmember Nithya Raman with 9%. Tech entrepreneur Adam Miller and activist Ray Wang each pull in 3%. Now, this poll was conducted by researchers at UCLA. If no one wins a majority in June, the top 2 finishers will head to a November runoff. Certainly more to come regarding Spencer Pratt and the news out today from the LA Times. All right, President Trump addressing the press today about his threat to destroy Iran's power plants and bridges if it doesn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The president made his threat in a profane Truth Social post Easter Sunday.
Can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You know, we got regime change. We're dealing with a much different regime than before. We're dealing with different people. They're smarter. I think they're sharper. And far less radical. We have regime change, but we didn't do this for regime change. We did it for the fact, and my view was very simple. I saw somebody said, "Oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is." You know, they want me to say, "Here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to." And if you don't do that, they say, "I have a plan." These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news. But you can't. It's so bad for people that are so pro. You just saw 2 great, and John Ratcliffe, 3 unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing to, and it's suffering. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot.
Last week, last week you suggested that Europe should take the lead on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Has circumstances changed now that you're issuing a direct 48-hour ultimatum? And secondly, would a new ceasefire include Israel, or would it just be between Iran and
I can't
the
talk
US?
about ceasefire, but I can tell you that we have a active, willing participant on the other side. They would like to be able to make a deal. I can't say any more than that.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you
concerned? Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going
concerned
on?
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No,
war
not at
crimes?
all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators, and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen, because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
Your messaging on the war has moved from the war is coming to an end to war going to be bombing Iran to the Stone Ages. Right. And we've heard a range of those kind of messages. So which is it? Are you winding this down, or are you escalating it?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, well, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this, but we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah, Stone Ages. CNN fake news.
Are you willing to make a deal that does not include reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water, and now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none because they're very good at this. That's why for 47 years they've been other presidents, and they haven't done the job. And people are living in hell. You live in that country, they're living in hell. No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough. They're at the weakest point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world, and you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone. The Middle East will be gone. And then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO, very. I think that NATO, I think it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear in my mind. You know, they're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, you know. But they said it loud and clear at the beginning when I spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And I say, yeah, I'd love to have a little help. He said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. Do you know, we have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln. 101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down. Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible, but 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. 101 missiles heading to a ship that's not that far off the coast. And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry that's unbelievable, yeah.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my choice,
choice,
yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela, as you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes. And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela. And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out. And paid for that war many, many times over, many times over. You know, the old days, to the victim. Okay, you know that. To the winner belong the spoils, go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World War. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right? But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now, the people that are running it. If you remember Bush with Iraq, they fired the generals, they fired the police, they fired the people that worked in their equivalent of the White House. They fired everybody. And you know what they had? They had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those generals and those soldiers got together. The police got together. They all got together. They formed ISIS. Not going to happen with us. So Venezuela has been an incredible, it's been an incredible situation. We went in. We were very successful. Military power like nobody's ever seen. The general, Venezuelan general, said, I was on that site. I said, I've never seen ferocity like that. I've been doing this for 40 years. He said, I've never seen it. They hit us from 17 different, they were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble, right? And we were all ready. They had their equipment. It was Russian, and they had Chinese equipment. It was all set. They were going to give us a fight. He said, and then they came, and they came at speeds like we've never seen. And they came at 17 different angles. The general and his people, that was a lot of angles. They hit him from every angle. He said, we knew it was over in 3 minutes. We were waiting for them. Their equipment didn't work, and there's a reason it didn't work. Someday we'll explain that to people. They pressed the button, nothing happened. They pressed it again and again, nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any, he used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles, and it was over. They went inside, and remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands. We didn't have thousands. We had like 200 people. So we have a great military. And I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than normally. You're talking about 2 people. But this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing. And now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he released, aside from the drugs, which he was terrible, Maduro released hundreds of thousands of people from jails into our country. Drug dealers, murderers, the worst people in the world were released into our country because we had a stupid president who probably didn't know, and we had a border czar who never went to the border and never once called our great Border Patrol agents, right? Not once, Kamala. She never called the Border Patrol. She never said, how are we doing? I used to call the Border Patrol guys every day. You can ask them, Paul, ask any one of them. Brandon, ask them all the time. How are we doing? How are we doing? And we now, I'm proud to say, have a totally sealed border. 9 months, nobody is coming through our border. And nobody even tries because they know they're not going to get through. So we don't have caravans anymore. So maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to, or are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us.
All right, so that was President Trump. Those were words spoken much earlier in the day today. He spoke for almost 2 hours. And again, the deadline for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz is Tuesday night. So the clock is ticking. We'll wait and see. All right now we're going to make a hard turn from that international conversation to, well, you could argue that these birds have captured the world, right? I know so many people log on to watch Jackie and Shadow and their eaglets. So this happened over the weekend. We were waiting for the pip watch, the eggs to crack. We saw that happen on Friday. And then 2 little eaglets, there they are. Not sure if this is Jackie or Shadow, but it's a live look from our Big Bear cam right now. And they are being fed. Isn't that so sweet? Oh, my goodness. Let's hope that these 2 have a better fate than the previous eggs. We know how cruel Mother Nature can be, how wondrous it can be, and how magical, but also how cruel. Okay, so I guess mid-afternoon snack's over, and now we're going to hunker down and keep them warm up there. It is so fascinating to see. So you can always check this out on the Big Bear Eagle Cam. Thousands of people log on at any given moment to check in and just to watch it happen. It is pretty fascinating to see. Okay, we will take a quick break and then we will be right back. We're checking in with Artemis 2, the crew making history today in so many different ways. We'll check in with Artemis 2 right after this. 2 minutes.